Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video, I want to have a short discussion and show off some of the new stuff that's coming in patch 3.1 again. We have a dungeon preview today with showing off the 2 hard mode dungeons, as well as some screenshots of some of the mounts that were our ground mounts that are going to become flying mounts, as well as some additional screenshots of these 2 dungeons. And I also want to talk about a very important point that the minimum item level requirement for these dungeons has brought up for me. So first, let's start with the dungeon preview. So patch 3.1's nearly here. We have 2 dungeons. We have St. Mochian's Arboretum. I know I butchered that name. You don't need to tell me, guys. And Pharaoh Serious Hard Mode. So I was not a fan of the idea of Pharaoh Serious Hard Mode, because now it makes me think we're going to basically go back to all the Realm Reborn dungeons in hard mode, all of them. All the additionally added original ones. So, you know, Lost City we'll probably go back to, and Hullbreaker. And no one wants to see the Kraken a 3rd time. But anyway, let's take a look at these dungeons. So, St. Mochian's Arboretum, I see the Malboro with the glowing things on the glowing spores on the head. Malboro boss is great. St. Mochian's Arboretum was once home to the greatest collection of flora and fauna the realm had ever known. Sorry for the good speaking voice. Alas, in the wake of the Exodus, it has since been abandoned, the teeming life within now roaming the halls with reckless abandon. A band of treasure hunters would pierce the heart of this leafy labyrinth in search of treasure, a treasure they claim would be a boon to Idleshire. But will the Savage Garden yield fortune or folly? Now, level 60, need to complete the main story, 4 players, 90 minutes, name of the quest, all that stuff is here. The interesting thing is the average item level, for me. Average item level of 170 or above. Before I talk about that, because I can talk about that for a great length of time, let's show off Pharaoh Serious. By the way, can I get this thing as a minion? This is basically like, it's a Cyclops reskin of, you know, just a bunch of, I want it. That's all I know. I want the Cobalt tech. With the Siren banished from Pharaoh Serious, Reconstruction of the Lighthouse is well underway. Or rather, it was until an order of kobolds forced workers to evacuate. The Maelstrom has been swift to plan a retaking of the tower, but time is of the essence. Kobolds' love for explosives will surely spell destruction if the beastmen are not purged with utmost haste. Once again, Limsalo Mensa asks for your aid. Descend to the depths of the tower this time, and assist in defusing the kobold threat. I'm immediately a much bigger fan of this dungeon, since we're going to the depths. We're not climbing back up and doing that whole thing again. If I'm understanding this correctly, we're going to see more of the tower we haven't seen. That's something that, like, all the hard mode dungeons originally, like, oh yeah, you're going to see these new paths and everything. And while, yeah, you took a different path, almost every dungeon was you would start in the same room, and you would end in either the same room or a room that was important before, like Hawk Manor. Instead of ending where the last boss was, you ended where the second boss was, for example, you know? So, the fact that we're going to an entirely different part of the Lighthouse, while we'll definitely still see things that were there the first time around, I'm a much bigger fan of this if they're going to approach hard mode dungeons this way. It makes me more okay with the fact that we're only getting 2 of them. But again, average item level of 170 or above. Now that's a very, very different item level threshold than I was expecting. I was expecting an average item level of 155 and to drop by 170 gear, you know, stuff that was equivalent to unupgraded log gear. So maybe, you know, people working towards Alexander would have a little bit easier of a time getting to the point where they could reach Void Ark and Alexander in the first place. That being said, average item level of 170 or above does mean a few different things. I need to sneeze 1 second. Cut the video. All right, back from my sneezing. So it means some very different things. For one, it means that it has to drop gear that's probably 10 to 15 item levels higher than that. Neverreap and Fractal were I-145 and dropped I-160 gear. So this being I-170, if it's going to follow the same thing, may drop I-185 gear. I don't expect with the same average item level as Alexander for it to drop I-190 gear. I expect it to be either I-180 or I-185, which will actually make things a little bit easier for new players, depending on the way you want to look at it. Getting to I-170 is still, you know, what it was. You know, it's still Neverreap, Fractal, Hunts, whatever it is you want to do for those initial steps. From 170 on, it may get a little easier, mostly because you now don't have to worry about, like, because obviously Alexander, yeah, you get I-170, you get Alexander, and you get Poetics gear, but that's not all you would really do as a new player. That's just all you could do. Like, you could the other thing was make sure you're upgrading all your log gear, you know, get to I-180, or at least closer to I-180, if possible. If this drops I-180 or I-185 gear, that means that there's less law required to get to those higher item levels, which will make it feel, I guess, less of a grind for that one specific part of the game. And it also means that you have a few choices between your law gear, your upgraded law gear, and this dungeon gear. Heck, even this dungeon gear, you know, a few pieces of this mixed with some Poetics, mixed with some Alexander normal gear, you may see that going into Alexander Savage. Obviously, you want as close to full I-190 as possible, but I'm just saying it makes the gap a little bit easier to close, on top of all the other catch-up features in the game, getting ready for Void Ark, getting ready for the Free Company airship stuff. I'm a fan of this item level. If anything, I would have liked to have seen it be a little bit lower. Maybe I went 60 to enter. That way players don't have this 25 item level gap where they only have like Fractal and Never Reap, and I guess the extreme primals at that. Now, there are some additional... Oh, by the way, I need to mention this. Pharaoh Sirius needs the original one beaten. So from now on, if somebody asks you what they need to do at 50, should I just do the main story? Include, at least do Pharaoh Sirius as well as an additional dungeon. Why so serious? I believe the quest is in Western Lenosha. So, on top of that, you might want to start recommending, if they're going to keep doing hard modes, you might want to start recommending people get to work on Lost City and Hullbreaker as well, just as sort of a preemptive thing, but we don't have any confirmation on that yet. Now, there are some additional screenshots. Thank you, Gamer Escape, Media Kit. I gotta get my hands on these media kits, man. I gotta, like, contact Square Enix, be like, hey, man, I do media kits too. But it's always nice to get to shout out our fellow members of the community with Gamer Escape. So, these are the new sets of armor that are going to drop in the dungeon themselves. Does that zoom in? Like, make it all weird? Yeah. So, I'll take Bayon's words. These are quite dapper. Like, these are, like, look, they all have hats. Well, I don't know if they all have hats. Two of them right there don't really have hats, but that just might be because they're not wearing hats. These are very, very, like, I don't know. They look, it's a proper attire. We'll just call it that. They look very proper. We also have some more screenshots of St. Mochian's. We have, wow, that is a pretty beautiful dungeon, not gonna lie. That, oh my god, this is making me think of Aurum Vale. I'm getting, oh, nope. Nope. I just don't want to. This actually kind of reminds me of Dark Souls again. Oh, these better be minions. Okay, I said the other one better be minions. These better be minions. These better be minions, right? Like, they have to be. That thing is ugly. That's the Sasquatch from Snowcloak reskinned. And those are parasite bears. Those are the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. Holy moly. I wish I hadn't seen that. Friggin' parasite bears? Really? Okay, so this is part of Pharaoh Sirius we've seen before. That's a room we've seen before. Like, okay, so these rooms all look pretty familiar. This looks like it's actually underground, though. So, I guess we'll probably be starting on, like, the base level and then descending down. The sewers will probably be around where the second boss is, and then under that will be the third boss. So I'd say probably about half the dungeon will be stuff we've at least seen before, but I do still like the idea of not going to the top again. That's, like, I don't know. And also, this was something that got posted on Twitter, and I retweeted it, but I didn't make a video. They've started showcasing some of the mounts that are going to be turned from ground mounts to flying mounts in patch 3.1. So we have the ADS mount for those of you who are PvP monsters and have been getting those frontline wins for a while now. You have the Ahriman mount, and you have the Bomb Harlequin mount. The Ahriman mount is a veteran reward, I believe 180 days. Is it 90? No, I think it's 90 days for that one. Yeah, 90 days for that. And the bomb mount on the right is a Kobold Beast Tribe quest mount. You have the two-seater chocobos here, both of the Recruiter Friend ones as well as the Wedding one being shown here. And then you have Kieran, of course. Now, I don't know about the other Primal Ponies. I think they said they were focusing on getting Kieran into the air first. Maybe the Primal Ponies come somewhere between 3.1 or 3.2, or maybe even 3.2 itself. But those are just some quick pictures. Oh, and the Magitech mounts will be able to fly as well, both of them. So, anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this preview. Let me know what you think about Pharaoh Sirius, first of all, going into a different direction. Let me know what you think about the minimum item level, what your guess for the item level drops are going to be, which mounts you want to see become flying mounts within a reason. I'm sorry, Sky Bear will probably not happen. But anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you all in the next video. And until then, take care.